Hey, y'all, and welcome back to Gems Podcast. With me is my special guest, Megan Nolan, in the hot seat. And let me tell you a little bit about Megan so you can connect the dots. Megan helps driven, high performing women press pause on their busy lives to get out of overwhelm and stress so they can be top achievers. She is the creator of the Power method that combines the tools of yoga movement, breath work, and mental fitness to help them create an empowering morning routine that leaves them feeling refreshed and ready for the day. So, without further ado, the woman behind it all, Megan Nolan.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. Great to be here.
Thank you for being here, Megan. And before we dive in, I definitely want to show a little bit more of who you are on a personal level so the audience could connect. So I like to do that one or two ways. So the first one is we could do an icebreaker up front, or the second one is we could do a rapid fire 10-question game.
Ooh, 10 questions.
Okay. So question number one, I love your sleeve. Talk about the artwork.
This?
Yes.
Okay, well, it's a long story, so I know it's rapid fire, but it's as a result of having a best friend who is a tattoo artist. So I started out with one small one on my ankle, and I just tell people I only have 5. I have a massive back piece as well, and then it's just gone downhill from there, or uphill as you have, however you look at it. So it really is, this represents my own journey, and it's really, in essence, the ability to break through my own blocks and barriers and find my wings to be able to fly free and continue to spiral and grow and expand and explode into all the amazingness that is my life and that is me. So just in a nutshell, that's what it means.
Love it. Question 2. If you could go anywhere in the world and money was no option, where would you go?
I've always wanted to go to Greece.
Question 3. Coffee, tea, or neither?
I like the taste of coffee, but my stomach doesn't like it. So tea it is.
4. If you could have lunch or dinner with any person, past or present, who would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess I would say, because we were speaking to this earlier, my dad, he passed away a few years ago, so it would be nice to have that opportunity.
Love it. 5. If you could have any superpower, what's your power?
Ooh. The ability to transport myself anywhere, anytime, like this, so that I could see so many places that I've wanted to see without having to pay all the airline flight fees.
Yes, love it. So that brings me to this question. Number 6. You just want an all expense paid trip anywhere you want to go. And there's a kicker. You just found out they're not flying back to your home base for this period of time. So where are you heading?
Ooh, an all expenses trip to 10 countries in Europe. I qualified it and made it a little bigger. Portugal, Spain, Italy, beautiful places to go.
7. What's a wild card factor about Megan?
Well, wild, yes, that's a great question. So you'll hear it, and you might have heard it already. Wild chickens and roosters roam free in my backyard. And so if you hear a strange squawking sound, that's what that is. And I also have a funny story that we might get to of when I accidentally adopted one of them, and he became my pet rooster named Chirpy. So that's kind of a wild random card about me.
Hey, if you could go back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be?
You're far more powerful than you give yourself credit for. And really stop staying tapped into that will not only be a more playful and fun and joyful and easy way to live when you keep your focus on the direction that you want to go, so that we're not constantly ruminating in the struggle and staying stuck in those old patterns. So really, I guess that's 2. but staying focused, keeping your vision on the direction that you're headed, and remembering how powerful you are.
Mm, that's good, Megan. That's good. 9. Here's a good one. You just realized that you could go back in time for a little bit and recreate that significant moment. What significant moment are you recreating?
The first one that popped into my head was the first kiss that I had with my partner. It was just kind of a funny little like moment that, it was really fun and playful. And so it'd be nice to experience that again.
How long have y'all been together?
Almost 5 years.
Oh, okay. And then 10, this is the pass or play question. Here are the rules. If you pass, we switch roles for this question and you get to ask me a question. If you play, I ask one last question.
Okay.
So do you want to pass or play?
Ooh. I'll ask you a question. So
Okay.
pass.
Awesome. What's your question?
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought I was going to have to ask you the same one. What is something fun that you'd love to share about us that's happened for you or to you recently?
Ooh, so I am currently expecting my first bambino. So it has been interesting and fun. I tell people there is glamour to pregnancy, but there are also ugly parts of pregnancy too. So just get ready because people always tell you the beauty of it. But I just had a real raw open conversation with the OBGYN and we talked about some raw stuff with pregnancy that people are probably like, whoa.
I bet. My mom is a doula, so we used to have funny moments at our house when the pregnant moms and the new moms would come over to our house. So I don't know all the details, but I can only imagine. So good for you. Excited.
Thank you. Thank you for playing Rapid Fire with Genesis. Now let's segue into our topic, which is the work that you're doing to help women just really be high achievers and just overcome some of the things like back pain or prevent burnout, just so they could really live life on their terms and not the terms of other people.
Mm-hmm.
So, what led you to get involved in this space, Megan?
That's a great question. Well, I often think that we teach what we need to learn, or we teach the things that we've gone through. And so I definitely have gone down the road to burnout and went all the way there and got the t-shirt and had to crawl back. So it was a long and rocky road. And so I really am super passionate about helping other women to avoid that and helping other people to avoid that, because I believe that, as I mentioned before, you're far more powerful than you give yourself credit for. And there's magic within you. There's gifts within you. The rooster agrees. The gifts within you that you get to express and you get to play with and you get to shine your light with. And so in order to do that, you need to feel your best, right? And so often when we get caught up in our passion and our work and family responsibilities, etc., it can be really easy for us to say, I'll do it later. I'll do that later. I'll have some yoga later. I'll take a break later. I'll do that later. But realistically, does later ever really happen? Sometimes it does, but not for everybody. And we're really never guaranteed later, right? We've learned that over the pandemic. And so really being passionate about sharing the tools of yoga and movement and breath work so that you can truly take that pause. It's challenging for all of us, especially for, people that are driven and love what you do. It's really challenging sometimes to press pause. And so I'm kind of like the mandatory pause button for a lot of people and really using these tools in a way that's fun and playful and approachable and doable, because a lot of times, again, people are really maybe intimidated by what you see on social media. You think like yoga is all about twisting into Cirque du Soleil type pretzel shapes, and that's not necessarily it. I mean, that's part of it, but it's not the core of it, and it's not the foundation of it. The foundation of the yoga practice is you coming back to you using the tools to center yourself so that you can feel good. And so that's really why I'm super passionate about this work.
And I love it because yoga is so beneficial. Like when I was doing yoga. It was so relaxing. I
Mhm.
got to still my mind. I practiced that mindfulness and etc. There were some parts where I didn't do the chants because I did dawn yoga and then I've done regular yoga. And there's very different various forms of yoga. I wanted to try the hot one, but then whenever I felt how hot it was, I was like, this is freaking hot. And I was like, no, I can't do that. So I like that you work with people on just really becoming centered with themselves and just having that full centering, which is mind, body, and soul to just really connect. And some people would even say whenever you practice that, you're able to realign your chakras. And I believe there's 7 chakras, which are your energy centers, I believe. And then you also mentioned that you had the period of burnout. So when you could address where you've been and how you got out of it, then it makes it more real to somebody who may be in the thick of it. So what was your burnout journey like? And did you know you were on the way to burnout, or did it just happen like smack dab in the middle?
um yes, that's a great question. Again, I would say, looking back, there was signs, and I've heard, and you probably, and as well as your listeners, that the universe or nature, God, whatever word works for you there, I'm open to all of them, gives us little signs, right? Little signs along the way, and gradually those signs get bigger and bigger and bigger until it's like and they won't let you ignore it anymore. And that's truly what happened to me. And so, yes, my journey was, it was about 5 years ago, and I was working for someone else in addition to growing my own business. And so I'm very passionate about what I do and energetic and want to help other people. And so that kind of sometimes means that I have a hard time saying no. And I'm like, sure, yeah, I can do that. Oh, yeah, that too. Oh, yeah, nope, nope, nope. And so there's there was no real boundary around what I could and couldn't take on. And so that meant that I was doing a lot, and that took me to a level of feeling, getting almost resentful, getting frustrated, and starting, looking back, of course, hindsight 2020, I was seeing that I was getting resentful and frustrated, and really should have taken a step back at that point, but I didn't know the signs, and so felt like I was just kind of, ugh, so I would feel my energy down here. And then when I'd go to Facebook Live or go to a session or a class, then it'd be like, okay, here we go, here we go. Okay, everybody, how are we doing? And it was like, I gotta have to like pep myself up. It wasn't my normal, level of energy. It was like down, up, down, up. And so a lot of fluctuations with that. And then as such, that would totally affect my sleep. So I'd be exhausted, I'd lay down, but I would wake up constantly throughout the night, and my brain would just be like, oh, what about this? We forgot about, it was like physically, I felt like I was running a marathon. Mentally, I was like, felt like I was, in like the last minute moment of trying to do a huge project and all these details. And that's what it felt like. And then I'd wake up and I was just so flat, emotionally flat, physically drained. And so at the time, my yoga practice literally looked just like me laying on the yoga mat, like right out here on the patio, and just crying, like I had nothing left. And so it was kind of alternating between feeling that heaviness and that lethargy of sadness and depression, or like the frantic spinning energy of anxiety, which to me kind of feels like a kite, like stuck in a tornado and just, yeah, like spinning up. And it really kind of culminated at a moment, actually right back out here. I was, as I mentioned, just kind of laying there like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know if I can do this entrepreneurship thing. Like, I don't know if I have it in me. I don't know if I can do this. What am I doing? Blah, 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 blah. The whole gamut, and even then you get all the whole like imposter things of like, oh, you call yourself a yoga teacher, you're not even doing yoga, like that whole negative committee that can chatter away. And so I was laying there and I was looking at a tree that was nearby, and there must have been a leaf kind of suspended on a spider web, and it was caught in a wind current, or a gust of wind, and so it was suspended, and it was just, and I was looking at it thinking like, that's exactly what I feel like right now. I feel like I'm going in every direction but getting nowhere. I feel like I'm pouring everything I have into the work that I'm doing, and it's literally like pouring out the bottom. And it was really a breaking point of, I can't do this, and I was so exhausted. I was having, major panic at that moment, major anxiety. And I was just got to a point where I was so still because I was so exhausted that's when I finally heard that quiet whisper, and the quiet whisper of the heart. It's not the noisy chatter of the mind or the ego. It's the stillness. It's the quiet voice that will like whisper the quiet guidance. And it said like, this isn't your path. You're meant for so much more than this. You're a warrior. You can do it. You'll find a way, but this is not your path. And I literally was like, okay, yes. And then instantly my brain was like, what do you mean? You're just gonna quit? Like, what is this? Blah, blah, blah. And so it was like this interesting dialogue of the heart and the mind. Yeah, exactly. And I just yelled out like, enough. And I probably scared the roosters, I'm not gonna lie, because they all went flying off. And so then it became it became my mantra, my battle cry, if you will. And it was like, this isn't my path. I'm meant for more than this. I will figure out a way that is more aligned for me, more aligned for my heart. And so I did. And that was a long journey back. It was a long road back, but it was a lot of learning for sure.
And that's amazing because sometimes it takes coming down to your knees or laying there and crying, not just out of sadness, but just crying to just release, because sometimes tears can be therapeutic and you just need to let it out just to free yourself and get out of those emotions that are causing you to feel a certain way. So I want to thank you so much for sharing that, Megan, because sometimes people don't always want to talk about their pain points, the struggles, or the setbacks that they've experienced because they feel like it's a sign of weakness or it's taking them back to that place, when in actuality, that was the birthing place for you to be confident, for you to be resilient, for you to have that determination and that drive to get over that hurdle and keep on going. And you mentioned that was 5 years ago, and you've been with your partner for 5 years. So, what did that meeting look like? How did y'all meet?
We met at a party, and it was funny because it was one of those moments that you hear about. Oh, sorry, loud noise outside that you hear about. I turned, I saw him in the kitchen at the party. He was sitting in a chair. I guess he was having some back pain. I didn't know that till after, but I literally turned and I saw him and I thought, who is that man? I want to go kiss him on the head, which he didn't like because he's lost his hair now. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, no, man, you're just going to kiss me on the top of the head. And I was like, no, because I literally was so drawn to your light, to your energy. And then we ended up meeting there. He ended leaving the party early because there was a kerfuffle. There was a little bit of like tension outside. And so we hadn't really been talking yet. So I kind of scooted up to him when it was all going on. And I was like, oh no, isn't this crazy? Like, what's going on? I had scooted so close to him that he goes, do you need me to move over? And I was like, oh, I don't know how to flirt. I'm awkward. And so he ended up leaving early. And then the next morning I woke up to some Facebook messages of like, I'm sorry I left. You were really lovely and I'd love to chat. And so then we went out to lunch and the rest is history.
Oh, that's amazing. But then it was so funny how you said, like, he's like, do you need some space? Do you like, right? Like, who's this weird woman? And I think that's beauty, because now that you're in this good space in your life, you have your partner, y'all are doing life together, and he's really helping you. Now that you are in the light, you're helping other people see the light. So what are some, I would say, what are your top 5 things to help people go from burnout to surviving to really thriving and enjoying life?
That's a great question. Okay, so I love all your questions. So first things first is your 7 layers deep why. Not your 7-layer dip, but your 7 layers deep. So it is, we all hear about why. We got to think about your big why. What's motivating you? Why are you doing what you're doing? But going deeper, because we can come up with a few things. Of course, I want to help people to thrive. I've known firsthand how challenging it can be to be challenged by mental health issues. And so sharing these tools is helpful with that, et cetera, et cetera. So, but going deeper and deeper and deeper, ask yourself that why 7 times. So if you look at it once and then, well, why is that? And why is that? And why is that? It's going to take you to a point of new understanding of why you do the work that you do. For me, when I did that, I realized that as a child, I saw that my father would go out and work really hard. He was an anesthesiologist, and he would come home and he was so exhausted, and he struggled with mania his whole life. So we would have that kind of up down situation. Yeah, exactly. And so what I saw as a child was like, well, you can't have both. Like if you're going to be successful, you're not going to have that at home outside of work relationship. And so I saw that as a child. That was kind of the programming I received. But I know that not to be true if you have the balance in your life, if you use the tools and you listen to some podcasts like yours. So what I recognized was I want to give people the tools that they need to have both, to be able to have the work that they do be successful and profitable, but also have the time and energy left over to enjoy their life. And so that's my deep why. So that was one thing that I invite you to start with. So your 7 layers deep why, and then that will lead you to your vision of what you are wanting to create in your life and your family. So that will take you to that vision point. And so who is that version of you? Who do you get to start to show up as today? So how can you begin to embody that version of you now? So whatever qualities, that future self version, which is already existing inside of you, what do they activate? How do they show up? So begin to embody that version of yourself today. So decide that. And really learning to speak to yourself. So this would be another one, to speak to yourself in a more empowering way, because you have like anywhere between 60 to 70 thoughts all day long. You don't listen to anybody talk more than you listen to yourself talk. Sometimes, like me, sometimes it's out loud, but a lot of it is internal. So learning to change the chip in your head and begin to speak in a more kind and loving way. Like, would you speak to your child the way that you speak to yourself half the time, or at least no? And most of us are the same, right? That committee of in your head, you can learn to dial that down. And you can learn to dial that down by just first recognizing it, and then using some of the tools of the yoga practice, or maybe it's movement, dance, gardening, whatever grounds you. Because when you move into that grounded state, not only do you feel more calm, you feel more centered, it allows you to feel peacefulness, happiness. You're actually shifting your biochemistry, you're shifting your brain activations from that frantic fight or flight, the negative chatter, into that calm state, which is a higher function of your brain. And that's the true thriving function of activating the prefrontal cortex, coming back to that wise you, that centered you. And that's the you that knows the next step, that isn't in that flustered, frantic state. That's the you that can just take a deep breath and step back and come back to all those other points and move forward with intention.
Those are amazing tips, because all of those tips make you do the work to really connect with who you are, not what the world wants you to be, not what your family members or friends want you to be, but go within, go inwardly. And once you go inwardly, then you can manifest where you want to go externally and what you want to do. And the challenge I want to leave the audience with is, so many times you hear, what do you want to be when you grow up? But how would your answer change if they asked you, who do you want to be when you grow up? Because what is defining you? What can place you in a box? But who is tied to your characteristics, your morals, your values. And it's just bigger than just one dimension. It's multidimensional, multifaceted. So I thought that would be a great addition onto that, Megan. And now I want to jump into your call to action for this segment, because I know you have an amazing program. So based on what we talked about today, some of the amazing questions and just the great dialogue we've had so far in the pre-chat and now recorded, what do you want the audience to walk away with?
Well, going off of what I just shared in my points, the gift is really based around all of that. So I believe that having an empowering morning routine is one of the most, like hands down, most effective ways to be that version of you now, like you were just speaking to, and to show up intentionally, to start your day intentionally, to align with your vision, to get connected, to begin to embody that version of you that you truly are, right? That you truly want to be, and that at your core essence, you already are. So that's, for me, the morning routine is like the nuts and bolts of that. And so the gift that I have to share is my 3-step mini morning routine, which you can grab by going to morningroutine.com. It's totally free, and it's, 3 steps, which can be stretched out for as long as you want it to go, or it can be shrunk down to like 2 to 3 minutes. It's really about what you decide works for you and your schedule, because people always ask me like, well, what's the best morning routine? And I say, well, it's the one that you're actually going to do.
Yeah.
Insider secret there for you. So I would love to share that with your community.
Thank you, Megan. And that's awesome. I like how you leaned in and said it's the one that you want to do, because you're putting the ball back in their court. But also, whenever you start your day on a high positive note, you're gonna have that your highest vibration, you're gonna have your highest energy, and you're not going to feel fatigue. And you're really being intentional, because how you start your day can also be how you finish your day, depending on what level you're coming in. And there's this one song that by Andy Mineo that says, I'm coming in hot. And I think that's important, because we need to come in hot when we start our day. We need to be thankful that we woke up to see another day. We need to recite those gratitudes. We need to have that positive affirmation. We need to practice that breath work. Make sure we're staying hydrated. Are we getting that water in? What's our nutrition level like? What's our fitness, and etc. And that is going to really help you with your overall holistic well-being. And then now, Megan, the moment everyone's waiting for. Oh my gosh, we love Megan. How can we get in contact with her? Plug your website and social media.
Oh, thank you. So yes, on Instagram, I am Megan Nolan. So that's literally my handle. I am Megan Nolan. And then my website is Megan, which is MEGAN dash Nolan, NOLAN.com. So I'd love to connect there, and make sure to grab the gift. And so that was minimorningroutine.com. And that way you can send me an email. We can chat. I can answer any questions that you'd have. I'd love to connect with you.
Amazing. And there you have it. Listeners and viewers, all of Megan's contact information will be in the show notes. So make sure you scroll on down, read, and tap in with I am Megan Nolan on her social media, and go get that freebie. That was such a generous offer, because we really want you to start living life optimally on your terms, not on the terms of anybody else. And make sure you set up those boundaries. You're setting up boundaries because it's respecting yourself, and it's giving you that self-awareness and self-worth. But it also lets other people who are important to you know that you need time for yourself. So it is establishing and enforcing those boundaries on other people, just like they would do it for you. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We're on 40 plus platforms, and you can see all things video by heading on over to our YouTube channel, which is at Gems with Genesis Amaris Kemp. So until next time, y'all, peace, love, and lots of blessings. Go out there and be great, because we believe in you. So believe in yourself.